Hello, everyone. I'm Nate Truax, and you're listening to the Croccast Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Croccast Podcast. I'm your host, Nate, and today I'm joined by Bryant McDowell. Bryant, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure, Nate. Thanks for having me.
So, want to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say I'm more of a herpetology enthusiast, and
Same here,
mainly
so.
mainly field herping is awesome, but I like going beyond. I like actually looking into the sciences of it and whatnot in my free. And since we're both from the Midwest, the active season is coming to a close, at least for reptiles.
Yeah. So, what part of the Midwest you in?
So good old Illinois.
Okay,
so not
good
too
old
far
Snake
from
Road.
you.
Then.
You're from you're from Ohio, aren't you?
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah. Usually I do make the pilgrimage with some buddies down to Shawnee to see Snake Road and some friends. Not this year though, or at least not this fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be able to do it this spring, but we'll see.
Have you ever been?
No, I have not.
Oh yeah, dude, you can't be a Midwesterner unless you've been there.
Yeah, need to check that off. So have you done any professional work with reptiles at all?
No, unfortunately not. No, actually, I just got my associates in general science this May, and I was going to probably go back to school and do something with geography, probably GIS or something blue collar. But my dad's been going through like some big trials and tribulations with health, so I've mainly been kind of taking it easy and just being with the family, helping them out.
Yeah. So you want to tell us a little bit about your herping experiences?
I mean, sure. So like I said, since I just finished with my associates, I'm a part-time photographer, and now comes the season that's starting to wind down and I have more free time. But even when the season is at its peak, at its apex, I still have kind of a lot of leeway in my free time. And so I tend to plan small herping trips or big trips. It just depends on the free time I have. Like this year, I decided to stay national, so I didn't go anywhere out of the country. But it was probably, arguably, I would say, the best herping season so far.
Where'd all you go this season?
Oh, well, like I said, I mainly stayed local, so I mainly stayed in Illinois. But it was more of the finds, or like everybody has their life list or what they want to see, and this year was no different. I mean, just to name off a few, Plains hognose or Western hognose, that was a big. And I didn't even find it. I was with a buddy who found it, and those are pretty hard to come by in the state.
Yeah, I didn't know they got that far east.
Yeah, I mean, where their most eastern extent, which is just really cool in and of itself. And there's some populations that are more well known than others, but where my buddy and I found it, it's I would say that population is probably the toughest to find any, because it's a pretty big expanse here in central Illinois on the sand prairies and whatnot.
Gotcha.
And so it was a big adult too, man. It was a big female.
Yeah. I also saw I recently uploaded some pictures of a big old bull snake you found.
Yeah. So, and I said it in the post too. I try not to hype them up so much, but it's tough because they are naturally beautiful here in our state. We're blessed with phenotypes here, and they are big and whatnot, but they're also subject to over harvesting, I would say. I spend time with a lot of older folks that are into herps. They could say back in the day, seeing 7 foot. And I believe because, Pituophis, especially bull snakes, they have the capacity to get that big. I've personally never found one bigger than maybe 5.5, close to 6 foot. And that's a big snake for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're real neat. I would say I would say they are my favorite Illinois snake and just one of my favorite U.S. snakes in general.
Yeah.
Do you guys get? You guys don't get them. That's way too. Not even pine snakes, right?
No, too far north for pine snakes, too far east for gophers.
Uh Tragic, tragic. But no worries. You still got big rat snakes and whatnot.
Yeah, but those things are, well, when you find them, it's a good day, but they're sneaky.
Yes, yeah, dude. So I love them too. Like I don't take them for granted whatsoever. I love me any kind of rat snakes, and you're right. Like they're so secretive. Like they may be a common big snake, but you just never know where you're going to find one.
Yeah. Unlike northern water snakes, are basically just around any pond or river, you're going to find them.
Yeah, when you're feeling low and it hasn't been too snaky, Nerodia is what you rely on for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, man. And also, I mean, not to jump ship too much, but also you guys got cool hog noses. I mean, like the plaid rhinus, they're real cool looking your way.
Yeah, well, if you want to talk about something that's state endangered, that's top of the list right there.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's actually a state endangered because I guess like pretty much everywhere else, everyone around here has a extreme copperhead phobia, even though copperheads haven't been found in my neck of the woods in decades. So you just see a hognose and just take a shovel to it.
Well, yeah, with a hog nose, it's even worse because of their display. Take the case brown. I mean, it's ridiculous what people will say is a copperhead.
Yeah.
But I hear that's a trend for easterns that all across their range they're kind of in decline. For me, they're a pretty rare snake for me to find too. I've only seen, I think, about 3 ever.
Yeah. Well, it's your high school biology teacher who's spent his whole life out out in the woods walking around. He said in his whole 60 plus years life, he only ever found one eastern hognose. So.
Oh man, what a bummer! But yeah, it can go like that with some species,
So, yeah. So, what were some of your most memorable herping experiences?
That's a really good question because there's so many experiences to take from the field. I guess one that's from this season too, besides that bull snake, was actually a black rat from Missouri. It was I was in the St. Francis mountain ranges, and they have various natural areas along it. And I was in one that's like known for being quite glade-like, or it is glades, but it was a fantastic day there. I found a couple lifers, like some flat-headed snakes, which are real hard to come by. And I even got lucky enough to see eastern collared lizards, which are another cool species. Yeah, just another critter that reaches its most eastern extent in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then just going along it was a great day overall. And then I was in some woodlands that was adjacent to some glades, and then almost like a halo was guiding me to where I was going. I see this big fallen tree, and atop it was a big black rat. It was probably like 5.5 foot, and it was just calm as can be. I mean, I was some distance away because it was down a slope, like 40 yards away. But like I said, literally, it was scenic, picture perfect. The sunlight was going through the canopy, and it was just illuminating this real, because Missouri rat snakes are real different from Illinois rat snakes. I mean, they're actually different species, but I consider them all the same. But in Missouri, they actually stay real black.
Yeah, you have more grays around where you're at.
Yeah, they're all grays in Illinois. Like the dividing range is the Mississippi, which is still ridiculous, but that's what science says.
Yeah, well, it's Pantherophis taxonomy, so in 5 years will be completely different, probably.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know your age, but we're relatively young. I don't mind Pantherophis. Elaphe is a great genus name, but obviously it's a taxonomic wastebasket. There's so much stuff in it already. So I don't mind the name change, but with the splitting of the rat snakes, that's another story. But yeah, like back to my rat snake story. It's a great rat snake. I approached it obviously, but I've been getting to the point in my field herping where I try not to grab or touch every critter that I see. Just so I can see their natural behaviors, what they're doing, because I'm a naturally patient guy. So sometimes I just don't find a reason to just grab them and photograph them. And that rat snake was a perfect example of it. I mean, I got up to like 10 yards. Then it noticed me, but it never moved its body posture. Like it was still basking on that log. And I got my photos. And eventually I did disturb it enough with my presence, but I never touched it. And that was probably one of my more memorable experiences this active season. And from just a common herp. So it's like any critter, any experience with a critter out in the wild is just fantastic.
Yeah. So you ever done any international herping?
Yeah, and funny enough, I did even before I knew what herping really was, because on my mother's side, she is from Panama, Central America.
Huh.
And yeah, and ever since I was little, I would go visit family over there. And it's funny when you're younger, you take that kind of stuff for granted. I thought it was normal to book it on a plane to Central America, spend a couple months, because that's what we would do. We would spend a couple months, come back, start school. And now as I got older, the gaps in between visiting have become longer. But the most recent trip back there was December 2021. And that was fantastic, just to see family and friends. And it was also kind of awkward too, because I'm with my cousins who were generally around the same age as me, and last time I saw them I was 15, 16. So to see them now, it's like kind of like adults. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then just like here in America, it was like, hey, you're just kind of like a snake guy over there. I see your posts and stuff. It's like, yeah. And what's funny down there is obviously you got the corals, and you got like any rhyme or reason you have up here in the States does not work. Once you hit the tropics, it's a different story. And all my family members, whether it be some slight inclination to fascination, most of my family members were pretty much fearful of snakes, and they would mainly kill them on sight if they could. But yeah, I have family in like almost all of the country. I think Panama's divided. I think it has around 8 or 10 provinces, something like that. Some in the interior and some in the near Panama City. I have some members in Panama City. And what's great about there is that, you're right on the Pacific, and there's tons of inlets. Seeing acutus, seeing American crocs was a big deal.
Yeah.
Lemon and spectacle caiman. Or I guess, and that's another taxonomic mystery, like fuscus, like brown caiman. Like I guess I think we have a mix of that. It's either the dominant species or we have fuscus.
I honestly don't know. Caiman crocodilus, I think for a while now, that's just been a species primed to get divvied up by taxonomists.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't so long ago they split off the Icaris. So,
really, well, yeah. The differentiation between those is kind of obvious, but with fuscus, I don't mind. And then they even have Rhea, Apopora came in. They have down.
Yeah.
Colombia or Bolivia, whatever. Yeah.
Just some one random isolated river somewhere.
I guess that's all it takes. It's so funny with reptiles and how much of a percentage is needed for what you call it, differentiation of species. But yeah, what we have is I'll go with fuscus in Panama. I saw those two. That was real neat. I was walking in a national park. And it was daytime, so it was pretty hot. So herp-wise, just mainly saurians, mainly anoles and other lizards. But there was a small puddle that was kind of in the canopy on the side of the trail. And I saw these two black things. I was like, that looked pretty interesting. So I got closer, and it was the two eyes of a caiman. And it was a relatively small guy, like about probably 3 foot. And, you know, I got closer, and then it sunk back down, and that was the end of my crocodilian experience, at least for that day. And I
Yeah.
thought for that trip, because mainly that trip was mostly for family, and you know, just when I had my free time with the car, I would go out. But you know, Panama's awesome. You know, I suggest anyone that wants to go into the neotropics or the actual tropics to do it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, have you been into the tropics or anything?
I'm guessing you probably wouldn't count Miami area, but
It's subtropic. It kind of
yeah.
counts.
But
I mean,
no,
it really does travel.
I've never been outside the states. So, but
Yeah, but you know, I peeked a little bit on your stuff. You know, you've worked for or
interned at a few places.
intern at like Proc Encounter with Chris and them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have, you know, a nice menagerie of species over there too. Like that's why I brought up, you know, the other day Orinoco's.
Oh yeah. The Loco Nocos.
Are they? Do they have an attitude like that?
Well, if they see you bring in a bucket of chicken, they'll start fighting over who gets in the prime feeding spot. So,
I mean, who wouldn't? When you're
chicken's
hungry.
chicken.
Yeah. But no, they're a cool species. Is that something you would want to plan a trip for, to go into, like, you know, well, maybe not those countries because they are kind of in conflict. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's like Venezuela, probably not the best place to go herping.
No. Do they venture into Colombia? I forget.
I think they might I think it might have a little bit of range in Colombia. I have to look it up, but if they are, probably
But that basin's huge. Like it does. Yeah. I think it is southeastern Colombia, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think it does stretch into Colombia. The thing is, though, their wild population has just been so, you know, thinned out that if they are in Colombia, they're probably like as rare as hen's teeth. So.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is that we're now in a time more than ever where there's plenty of organizations that's doing stuff with their conservancy, like Dragonwood or you know, Croc Encounters, where maybe in the future they will rebound in considerable numbers.
Yeah,
you know,
they actually got to do a little bit of help with Orinoco conservation. Well, a little bit. Where I don't know. Well, you're from Illinois, so you might know Rob Carmichael in the wildlife. What's it?
In Lake Forest, Illinois.
Yeah,
I never visited a place. Sadly, it's closed now. I never visited. I was going to volunteer there, but I know the place you're talking about.
Yeah, well, he had a pair of juvenile Orinoco's that he needed transported down to Chris's place in Houston. So drove all the way over to Chicago, picked them up, and drove all the way down to Houston, transported them. So.
Oh, dude, that's an adventure.
Yeah.
Were they little guys, or like what we talking about?
Probably.
Oh, it's not bad. Like 3.5. Yeah, it's not bad.
2.5, 3 foot. Yeah. But it was kind of fun trying to walk past the concierge desk at the hotel, saying that, you know, the night driving down, and just hoping that they don't ask what's in the basket I'm carrying.
What's in the box? Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's funny because, you know, we have the big shows here too, like Tinley and whatnot. And you know,
I need to go to Tinley sometime.
You know, all the vendors, they say the same thing, where, you know, they're carrying some totes into their rooms. And, you know, nowadays the concierge and everybody, they kind of know what's up, but
yeah,
they don't really press the issue. They know what's going on.
Yeah, but like that was fall 2020. I want to say I did that. Yeah. Fall 2020, but in like February 2020, you know, right before everything hit the fan, so to speak, I actually did another transport job for Rob, where I transported a 6 foot long saltwater croc all the way down to Houston.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
busy. That's cool though. That's awesome.
Yeah. Fortunately, I decided to stay in motels instead of hotels because they're not going to ask about anything in a motel. So.
Oh yeah, more low key. That's always the way to go when you can.
Yeah, but you know, motel manager finds out about it and be like, honestly, it could have been worse. There's a lot worse things brought to our rooms every night.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's awesome though. So I guess you got to spend like a couple days doing that, and then actually checking out the place where you were transporting them.
Yeah, I was transporting them to Crocodile Encounter. So.
Yeah, man, I would love to go out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he has a few species, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's thing is he's kind of streamlining his species count down now at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have the numbers, but like probably like in the tens or less.
I'll see if I go off the top of my head. When I was interning there back in 2019, he had, Orinoco's, Salties, Niles. He now has African dwarfs.
Oh, cool.
At least one species of Paleosuchus. He might have both. Speckled caimans, Siamese, Cubans. Let's see here. Am I missing anything? American alligators, obviously, Chinese alligators. Yeah.
To touch on the dwarf stuff, Trigonotus, they're cool. They're not overrated. They're not my favorite, but Palpebrosus is where it's at.
Oh, definitely.
I think mainly because of the coloration and just, they got a different, kind of a more dense build to them.
Yeah. I always thought that Palbrosis looked more quote unquote dog-like in relative term.
Yeah.
Whereas Trigonotus looked more like dragon or draconian almost. So
that's a good way of referencing it. And it's true, I think Palpebrosis, they put the bro in it because they are a bro in the dwarf caiman world, I'd say. I mean, they're so, I guess we didn't touch on this, but crocodilians were like my first true love in the herp world, and it kind of stemmed what I was like kind of getting at yesterday. It stemmed from a love of paleontology. I don't have the same love of it anymore, but I still have admiration for the science. But eventually I figured out, well, dinosaurs and other extinct animals are dead. They're not coming back anytime soon,
unfortunately.
Yeah, so why not focus some attention on stuff that is extant? So, it just kind of stemmed off from paleontology. And then I kind of realized, well, I'm not living in Florida, so I don't have easy access to crocodilians.
Yeah.
And so then I just went down the list of the other orders, and I was like, well, I'm content,
Yeah. At least in terms of Archosaurus, you do have plenty of birds, but
yeah, but such a fall from grace they've taken.
Yeah.
I mean, they're beautiful. No shame in it. Like one of my best friends is a birder. I'm just like, you know what? Birds of prey, and all birds are cool, but they're not dense. They're not the same as they once were in the Mesozoic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Survivors though, but not the same.
Yeah.
But no, I guess getting back to crocs. So I did tell you I saw Fuscus in Panama, and then I think after the new year, like I think January, because we were there for quite a while in December, going into January, and then I think it was January the 3rd. So this is actually a cool story. So January the 3rd, somehow I got into contact with this one dude who was part of the Smithsonian institution they got over in Panama City, and he was aiming to do like a night hike on this in the national park that I was at during the daytime. He was aiming to do a night hike in one of the creeks that stems off the Pacific Ocean. And I talked to him. His name was Andy. Cool dude. I was like, hey, I'm into herps and all this, and would you mind if I tagged along? I said, oh, please. We have nobody that's like into this stuff. So I did, and man, going to the tropics, like jungle at night, it's a different kind of darkness. A lot of people say the same thing. It's the noises are intense. The darkness is almost overwhelming. But eventually I met up with Andy and then a few other students that wanted to join. And we walked down the creek. So to picture this creek, usually and like in wintertime, it's kind of the dry season over there in Panama. And so all the water level is relatively low, but not really, because it's still near tropics, so it still rains a crap ton. But yeah, so this creek system was real low, like I'd say below 30% its full capacity and whatnot. But even being that low, it had pocket pools where water would collect, and it was actually a lot deeper, kind of like cenotes in Mexico. But we were walking and we weren't finding too much, mainly frogs and and toads and scorpions. So, we made the most of it. It's always a pleasure just seeing stuff like that. But obviously, there was no snakes and frogs. I was like, well, this is kind of a bust. But I said that, and then with my head torch, I shined like two kind of reddish looking eyes kind of on the surface of the water. It's like, what could be making that? And then I completely forgot that, crocs have that lucidum tapetum in the back of their eyes. I was like, holy shit, it's a croc. So I'm walking over to it, and it still hasn't moved away. I was like, man, what do I do? Do I grab it? And then while I was debating what to do, it just ducked into some weeds, and then I was like, I'm not going to bother it. Because I was like, I was dragging behind the group, so it was mainly just me. And so I met up with the group again, and then we went to this one place where I guess I think glowworms or something. It was some type of illumination phenomenon, and it was really cool. We turned off all our lights. We saw it. After that, we headed back to the trail marker, and then on our way back, I shine like I guess four sets of eyes. I was like, okay, what are we working with here? So I go to the first eye shine, and it's a croc. And then it does this submerged thing as I got closer, but it looked bigger. I was like, this is not the same animal. But I was like, no, I kind of need to examine it and just check this thing out. And so I'm getting to it, and then I grab it, I pull it onto shore. And funny, when I grab it, you get that, that adrenaline rush from.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's something that doesn't leave you to this day. I think that was probably the most adrenaline I've had from herping. But yeah, so I grabbed this croc, and it's relatively docile, it's calm. But I grab it, and I'm looking at the size of it, and it was like about a little bit bigger than what you were transporting to Orinoco. It was like 3.5 to 4 foot. I was like, oh, this is a lot bigger than I thought it was. But it really didn't struggle too much. I got it onto shore, kind of straddled it, and then I just examined it, and then I gave a little bit of a introduction to it to all the students. I was like, oh wow, is that a caiman? Is that a gator? It's like, and then I was giving them the whole spiel of it, and it was really cool to examine the heads, because you're not that close to them. You really start to appreciate just how narrow and long it was. It was a young croc, but I was taken aback by how narrow.
Oh yeah. Especially if it's like prepubescent males and stuff like that, you have really skinny jaws before they start bulking up.
Yeah, that's what really surprised me. And then I even sexed it, or like what I think was sexting, because I think the thing is that because they have muscles down there too, so obviously maybe they didn't want me to go there, but I think it was a female. It seemed like it was a female. So a nice young female, and relatively calm, docile, great experience for the group and me. And then after a while, I just let her back go in the creek system without hardly a ripple. She never tried to bite or anything. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
That's
like another species of crocodilian that seems kind of primed to get broken up, is Acutus, because it just has such a wide range.
Yeah. I mean, they talk about that with salties, and so it's only obvious you would talk about another, ocean going croc.
Yeah. But
and then I also ended up catching another juvenile Acutus. I don't know if it was the same one from like the first eye shine, but yeah. So I just take it as another. So 3 Acutus and that was kind of like my finale for herping in Panama. After that, I went back to some relatives that have like a nice big botanical garden set up, and they have some snakes. But besides that, my herping was over. So it was a great send off for Panama.
Yeah. So do you ever see like any basilisks down there?
Yeah.
So we don't have the greens or the browns.
They're the browns.
So
I don't think Panama has the greens. I think those are truly South American.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've seen plenty of browns when I was down in Florida, but.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, those guys. I mean, almost all the stuff in Florida is there to stay.
Yeah.
But it's like a herper's paradise or naturalist nightmare, however you want to take it.
Yeah. The herper in me loves it. The naturalist in me is like not that big of a enjoyer, but the evolutionary biologist in me is like, this could be interesting. Give it like another 500 years, see how things turn out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, there's so many rabbit holes with that too, because so like deviant art, like that forum or whatnot, and
Yeah.
and even on Instagram, like I love speculative evolution stuff.
Yeah.
I wish I was gifted at drawing, or I would just draw a bunch of creators of what I would think they would be like in the next millennia or so, like especially with herps, like think about Cuban crocs. Think about this: if they never lost the ground sloths and then the other land mammals they had there, they'd be way more terrestrial than they are now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I feel like the pendulum is going back to the waters with those guys.
And also they're just getting flooded with acutus. So
yeah. And they used to have a bigger range too. They used to be in the other Hispaniola islands.
Yeah.
So they're a real neat species. They're arguably my favorite crocodilian besides black caiman.
Yeah. I've once heard someone say if you did a survey of like 100 croc people, 75 of them would say Cubans are their favorite. So
I mean, it's hard not to see why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So outside of Panama, have you ever done any other international herping?
Well, funny enough, that brings me back just to touch on the dwarf caiman stuff. Those are dwarf caiman and black caiman. Those are what I'm kind of aiming to see in the near future. Not really a kind of spoiler, but I would love to see them. Like I said, just because they're the palpebrosis, they're the bros of dwarf caiman, it's just nice big specimen would be awesome to see and just examine and see how they are. And it's funny how they kind of I guess you wouldn't say partition, but I don't know any other words. They partition with Trigonotus. I think
niche partitioning.
I think they have bigger ranges, and they occupy the same environments kind of differently. I think they're more terrestrial than Trigonotus. Trigonotus seems to not go too far off land.
From what I've heard, Trigonotus prefers like more deep forest, small streams, whereas palpebrosis prefers maybe a bit more open habitat with larger rivers. That's just what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, I'll send you the link. Maybe you read the same paper. I read it from ResearchGate. It was like a 2017, 2018 paper that was telling how they were like niche partitioning. Yeah. And black caiman too, because black caiman doesn't get enough press as a crocodilian. I mean, many of them don't, but black caiman in general, they're just a great big beast. I mean, I mean, they make our American alligators look like puppies,
Yeah. I mean, everyone
thinks how they look.
Yeah. Everyone always thinks that all caimans are small because they're all used to seeing like videos of jaguars hunting spectacle caimans or something like that. Yeah, they don't realize black caiman are the actual apex predators of the Amazon.
Yeah, the wolves or whatnot. They're real neat.
So what are some places you've herped in the U.S. outside of the Midwest?
Oof, man, yeah, you're making me tell a lot of good stories. Well, just a couple of months ago, no issues. Just a couple of months ago, I decided to go back to Arizona. I have a sis that lives in Phoenix, so I kind of made it visiting family and herping because I planned it for the monsoon season. So
nice.
Yeah, kind of undershot it a little bit just because of work and whatnot. And also I had my my birder friend M. He joined me too because he's a birder at heart. But I've been slowly but surely
converting him
pulling him to the herp side of things. And so he said he would come for a 3-day stay, and I was there for about 13 days. And even though the monsoon didn't present itself in typical fashion, it still was pretty good. I mean, I had an absolute blast because I was in Arizona before a couple of years ago, but that was, again, more for family. And I still got to see a speckled rattlesnake and a couple lizards and a night snake. But, I was like, I got a little taste, so I got to go back for more. And that's what I kind of accomplished with this trip. You know, I kind of mainly stuck to the Sky Islands in southeastern Arizona to just see what they're all about with their biodiversity. And man, just I mean, Arizona as a whole state, it's insane just because of the percentage of public land.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just they got a good thing going on there. They really do. I mean, sadly, too much of a good thing, and Californians and Texans have taken notice, and so they're all moving there before I can. But it's all good, I guess, in the end. But no, it was fantastic. I guess when M came is when we really started doing hardcore herping, going to the Sky Islands. I think not the first night because he flew in at night or he landed at night, so we kind of went to one of the mountain ranges, spent the night there, and even that because we were pretty tired at that point. But even then, we shined our life for Sonoran desert toad. So obviously we had to lick it and get high that night, so that was fun. But what a magical beast of a toad. They're just huge. I mean, they don't lie when they say that they can get football size.
Dang.
And their hops are ridiculous. Like you've seen like our American toads hopping around.
Yeah.
And imagine them like I guess 20 times bigger, and then their hops are like maybe not that big, but you get the picture. And hopping of a shorter distance. It just looks funny when these guys hop because they're not really getting anywhere. and it makes you wonder, how do these guys survive in the desert? It just looks so out of place.
Yeah.
So that was a trip. And then I guess, and relatively speaking, most of the things we saw, they were just all new for us. So that was fantastic. We went to the Chiricahuas. Chiricahuas didn't reward us too kindly, but just being in those ranges was awesome. The views, getting over 8,000 foot. We saw our highest herp there, a little spiny lizard, like a Jaro spiny lizard one, I think. Like in the sunlight, it freaking sheens just this metallic sheen. So that's real cool. And then a couple nights ago, I lost my mind because we were in another mountain range, and we decided to take this trail. And at night, and while we were walking, there's a lot of rocky outcrops on this trail. I was like, man, there has to be some montane rattler here. There has to be something out. And we were kind of striking out. We didn't even see a toad or a lizard in sight. And, we saw a blacktail earlier that night, so we were already elated because I don't think he's ever seen a rattler in the wild, and that was the species I most wanted to see. I know they're common, but they're beautiful. I mean, you've seen photos of them; they're beautiful snakes.
Yeah.
And the one we found was like a nice young adolescent, just black and gold, like just gold as all get out. So that was a real neat species to encounter. But later that night while walking the trail, I shined this walking outcrop, and I'm seeing a triad color. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. And then I was like, dude, it was a Madrina mountain king snake.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was just on the crawl. It was like low 70s that night, just on the crawl, like picture perfect. I turned my head, and it was literally just right there. Nice. So obviously we did the appropriate thing, is that we bagged it, and then later we sold it at the reptile show the next. No.
For all federal wildlife agencies listening, I do not endorse this behavior.
No. I had my proper stamp or whatever permit that comes with the fishing game. But no. Yeah, I kept that sucker overnight to just at least photograph him. But it was a fantastic snake to behold. Because they're common too, but obviously herpers can go there all the time without seeing them, and actually target to see them. For my Arizona trip, I wasn't really targeting anything. I was targeting more of a habitat, and then to see what comes with that. So that was the trip was made that night.
Yeah, but like in about a month, I'll be actually flying out to California to visit my brother and his wife. But I actually know a guy out there in the same county as them, another herpers. This year, Roy Arthur Blodgett, one of the hosts of the Project Herpeticulture podcast. But he and I were talking, it's like maybe me and him go herping for a day. Probably won't see any snakes because it's December in Northern California. But maybe some salamanders. So
maybe some sows, maybe some spinies, because you'd be surprised how resilient they are. If it's a sunny day but cold, they'll be out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. You get to meet that dude. I hear their podcast with him and Phil. I mean, it's a great podcast.
Yeah. But when I had him on my podcast, I was back out in California back in February. Yeah, February. No, it's January for my brother and his wife's wedding. But like I had him on the podcast like a few months later. And we were just talking. It was like, wait, where are you in California? He said, oh yeah, Mendocino County. I was like, what? I was literally there like 2 months ago.
Oh, dude, that's the worst. You're literally right there, but you just didn't know.
Yeah. Well, it's a county in a western state, so in the same county could be basically saying, we're both in Vermont. We're just on opposite sides. But
oh, that's a great scale using Vermont. That's like us Americans. We use anything for calculations and approximations. Oh, that's hilarious.
During COVID, stay approximately 2 black rat snakes away from each other.
Or one big bull snake,
Yeah.
They have red-legged frogs in that part, right in Northern California. Like now I'm testing your knowledge of Cali herps.
I'm just sitting there going like, I'm so embarrassed now.
Nah, I mean Cali's a big biodiverse state too, so that's cool. I had a buddy, he's part of a landscaping department for U of I here, and he's seen some encetinas, some encetinas and some rosy boas.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and the thing with rosies is that you can see them on cold days too, because being a boa, they kind of, if it's sunny enough, they'll be kind of active.
Yeah, kind of basking a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. So that's
kind of like garter snakes around here. So.
Oh, dude, yeah. What's the coldest you've seen a garter snake that you can kind of know?
Let's see here. Oh, I was a little kid, and it was like, I think we were like celebrating like Thanksgiving at my grandmother's place. It was probably in like the 40s or 50s, and we just went out to the basketball court and basketball court she has in the backyard. Right next to the base of one of the goalposts was a garter snake just coiled up. So I just remember we had to wear jackets and all, but yeah, same bio teacher I told you about. He said one time he was walking out of his woods, middle of January. It's just one of those, you're from the Midwest, so, even in January, you just get a random day where it gets up to like 60.
Yep.
And sure enough, there was a garter snake coiled up in a little sunny patch on the 4th floor. So middle of January.
Awesome. Yeah, man. So whenever I go out to the field, I always try to end my day with this. So this is kind of like my herping journal. I just write all the species I found, maybe some special notes like temperatures and just notes in general. And this past March, some buddies and I, we found our coldest snake. It was a little decays. and it was a day that we were mainly focused for salamanders and whatnot, and we succeeded on that great day. So this was about like the tail end of the day, and we were flipping, and I flipped this log, and then I saw like a cream white belly. It's like that didn't seem like a worm, so I flipped it again, and like kind of in the crevice of the log was a little brown snake, and it kind of plopped in my hand. I was like, holy shit, it's a brown snake, guys! And then I tempted with my temp gun, and it was like 42 degrees. I was like, I can't believe this. That was the earliest I've seen, or the coldest I've seen a snake. And then obviously he was starting to kind of get roused up by my body heat. I was like, oh, this can't happen because I'll kind of mess him up. So I tucked him back in, but that was awesome to see. And then like you, I've seen garters on cold days too. I've seen them real active at 45 degrees, overcast too. I mean, it's insane what these guys can tolerate.
Yeah. Do you keep any herps yourself as pets?
No, because that would be selfish. Because actually, right now, I'm living with my parents just because I told you my dad, he's having some health issues, so I'm
Yeah.
helping them out with that. I would like to keep a few, or keep a few snakes. I actually do have two long-term herps I've had for a while. I have a Russian tortoise I've had for about 18 years, like since I was 5. It's insane that he's still alive. To be honest, with the amount of treatment maltreatment I've given him in the past. But
Yeah.
thankfully he's good. He looks great. And then I have a blue tongue skink that I've had for about 6 years now.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
What about you? I know you keep some stuff, right?
Yeah. So here got a couple. Got 3 iron jar carpets. One big female diamond carpet.
Okay.
Couple of thorn scrub rat snakes. Couple of I don't know which locality or subspecies of gopher snake. I just know they're a gopher snake. So
Shame,
they're
shame,
just
man. You
sold.
gotta know.
Yeah, I know. They were just sold to me as gopher snakes. So I'm not much of a I'm not well versed enough on Pituophis localities to be able to just discern them with my bare eye. But see here.
Yeah. Well, at least you can have those. In our state, we kind of technically can't sell or have our bull snakes. It's kind of like one of those laws, but it
Yeah,
would be nice to have with our so the way that the state's set up with our fishing license, we're able to possess I think 4 species, but even then, you can't breed them, can't sell them. I don't even know
yeah,
if you can even gift them, but yeah, a bull snake, especially from Illinois, would be that's something I like to see in the future, preferably when I'm out of state. But
yeah,
you know, because I'm all about native herbs and stuff. But it's cool that you got carpets, man. I love carpets.
yeah. Let's see here. What else do I have? I have one female Biak green tree python.
Oh wow.
And let's see here. Juvenile rhino iguana who I'm still trying to grow up. I always forget I have that one random Stevenson python. He just keeps on forgetting slipping my mind.
Well, they're tiny. They're little guys, so
Little assholes, what they are. But
yeah. That's
and
what I hear, man.
then recently just got a false water cobra. So
Oh
been
whoa,
been
really?
listening to way too much Zach Loffman for my own good, apparently.
Apparently, I saw him the other day when I was in Tinley. I got
Oh,
his
nice.
book. I got him to sign it and whatnot. So that was real cool. He's a cool guy. I like their
Yeah.
podcast too. And,
I'm just,
like
I'm just waiting for him to show up to the next Ohio Reptile Expo just so I can get him to sign my copy. So
oh, you got a copy too? Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, man. I need to get another copy just so I can store it away forever and never look at it.
little personal collection library versus actual used library.
Yeah, yeah, they can be ripped to shred, whatever. But as long as the personal collection is clean and tidy, it's all
The
that
mint
matters.
collection.
Yeah, for future reference. But no, man, that's real neat. Falsies are awesome. They get real big, so man, that's a lot of snake.
Yeah, mine is already 4 foot, so but
And
but
there's
I got my
also
nice size enclosure, so
okay, good. And the funny thing about breeding, obviously, it's like they can double clutch, like clutch after clutch, and they can. It's just they're egg laying machines.
yeah. I only have the one, so I'm probably going to hold off and get another one until I can financially afford to get another like 6 to 8 foot long enclosure.
Do you have room for it? Yeah. That's cool, man. I actually love big colubrids. Obviously, as you mentioned, the bull snake. I'm kind of simple in that fact. Like little guys, I appreciate and love too. I find them super interesting. But obviously, with bigger animals, you tend to have more of a connection. I feel like,
Yeah, I've always been
you
interested
know,
in getting something like I don't know, like a Russian rat snake or I don't know, maybe not a Chinese king because those things could be, from what I heard, be very temperamental. But
yeah. I seen them being sold at the show. Oh, actually, there was one species of snake that kind of blew my mind that was there. Obviously, it was an import, but it was those Tyus rat snakes from Asia.
I
Most
think
people say Pataeus or Tyus.
I think so. Uh, are those Ganyosoma?
No, that's the actual genus name, Ptyas.
Okay. I'm not familiar with them, I don't think, off the top of my head.
Well, they have a species in that genus that is arguably one of the biggest colubrids too. It's like a keeled rat snake type of thing, Carnata. But anyway, this one was like a Marginita nata something. Like it was an emerald green. Like probably look it up after the podcast. Fantastic emerald green looking snake.
Might just look it up right now. Just out of
Okay, yeah.
curiosity.
So yeah, Batias nigro marginata.
Batias, B-A-T.
No. So it's weird. It's Ptyas. So P-T-Y-A-S.
P-A-T.
No A. P-T-Y-A-S. And then Negro, and then it should just pop up for you. And the common names in green rat snake, but terrible.
Nigro marginata?
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
And they get big too.
Okay, yeah. Now you spelled it out for me. Yeah, now I have heard of Ptyas, but now I think about it. Yeah.
And that's one of the more expensive imports. They were selling them about almost $5,000 a snake.
Dang.
But I mean, yeah. Just look at it. It's just I was drooling all over it before the owner was like, "Can I help you?" It's like, "Oh no, never mind."
No, I'm poor. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just admiring. That's all. Yeah. And then we had, you have Jason Hood, with his collection. He has the tiger rat snakes, and like the bird snakes, all the tropical stuff.
Yeah.
Tinley is just a great show in terms of its diversity. I've been going since 2018, and it seems to steadily get more and more diverse. This show was like in between. It wasn't as diverse as I've seen it, but it was still pretty good for being a mainly boa and ball python show.
Yeah. See, I need to go to Tinley sometime. Say I'm an actual adult for once, but
yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah, but that same trip I mentioned, I'm going out to California. I'm actually going to be flying down to Texas, actually, a few days after that, to visit a few friends down there. Actually going to be visiting Dieter's place as well, do a little East Texas herping. But one of the big goals is south of San Antonio, see some old college friends, and actually take them to their first reptile expo at one of those big old Texas expos they're having that weekend.
Ooh, like a herps expo or something?
Something like that. So
that's cool, man. Yeah, you got yourself lined up a nice little adventure.
Yeah. I remember just going to one random expo, one like in the greater Houston area, and as someone who just went to like the All Out Expo for most of my life, that's just like a very, very different experience. It's almost intimidating experience because I'm not used to going to expos and seeing like a bunch of stalls have stuff closed in, a bunch of stuff in deli kelps lined with red tape, to mark out a hot.
True.
I'm not used to going to expos and saying like, oh, I can get like an Atrox for $200 or something like that. It's like,
or a Gaboon for $50.
Yeah. It's like, oh wow, Morley's croc, $500. That's tempting.
Oh,
that's dangerously tempting. Well, I heard some of those Pennsylvania expos can get kind of crazy as well. So
rambunctious, more like it. Yeah. Funny enough, a couple of years ago, I went to I think it was a Show Me Snake Expo down in Missouri, and there they can sell venomous as well. And in Illinois, in the state, you can't sell venomous at all. It's offhand. Yeah. But in Missouri, when I was at, I was seeing exactly what you were describing, the red tape. I saw little monocle cobras, Gaboon vipers. And I even seen crocodilians, And funny enough, more or less, they seem to be pretty common, or at least one of the more commonly sold crocs. And real cheaply.
And I think I know the reason why for that is pretty much all crocodilians outside of American alligator, the Paleosuchus, and Morlays, you need a federal license to transport them across state lines unless you're being loaned or gifted one.
Sure, okay.
So, and they don't have, from what I heard, they don't hand out federal licenses anymore. So
So it's kind of a free for all.
yeah. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, in Ohio we do have kind of strict exotic laws. So except with this one major exception for crocodile enjoyers such as myself, Paleosuchus is perfectly legal to own without a permit here. So I need to get back into those someday.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, not too many people are equipped to handle any kind of crocodilian. But the nice thing about those guys, if you're passionate and dedicated to it, you can make them have a good living in a relatively small space, I guess. Maybe a room's preferable, but small space.
Yeah, I would say if you can take care of a big adult water monitor, right, you could probably take care of a Paleosuchus, right?
Yeah. I have my own opinions about mass-produced animals. That's why I find the pet, like the herpetoculture side, so interesting. Because I am a part of it, but it's nice having kind of that outsider's perspective looking into, like retics and water monitors. It's way too many of them.
Yeah.
Tegus too. Just they're all, and tegus are another one. I love them, but they're also one of the more apt species to actually kind of be real detrimental, and just in like those southeastern states.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to own one though. They're like a big lizard I like to own.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some dream herping places you've ever wanted to go? Bucket list herping places.
Oof, man, I don't want to give it all away, but obviously Australia. Australia was a big bucket list for me a long time. I'm not sure when, I'm not sure when that'll be in the works, but yeah, I'd love to go to the Kimberleys, Northern Territory. I did listen to that episode with Ricky Mack and you. That was a great show.
Oh, I definitely enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's a freaking legend. And he's only like not even 30. He's a freaking legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd be great to go out there because tons of species I'd love to see, like salties, freshies, big scrub pythons. I love scrubbies.
Oh yeah, same here.
Yeah. So mainly I'd say Australia, and then I guess for more relevant bucket list trips, just sticking to this side of the hemisphere, going back to Panama, I like to explore a bit more there. Mexico, just all the tropical stuff, everything below America, I would like to go to.
Yeah.
I won't say much about it, but next year, some friends and I, we're probably going to finally cap off this South America expedition. Finally enter it because being in Panama was so close, but it's not
close, but no cigar.
Exactly. And, I'll just say some of the places we're considering are places like Colombia or Peru, among others, but I won't really get away. We'll probably talk about it later.
Yeah. Like that's actually one of just some random dream that probably will never happen, but always think about is I'm thinking about starting a bit more on the YouTube side, making some more videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If a girl is big enough to be kind of self-supporting, I've always dreamed of like getting like one of those Sprinter vans, do the whole van life thing or whatever, and just drive down through Central and South America making low budget, high effort herp documentaries. So,
well, dude, let me know. I'll be part of your crew without a moment's notice. I mean, because I kind of have the same feeling. I mean, because I have a YouTube channel, and it's mainly just for me. But I do everything myself. But I have a semi-professional camera. It's a Nikon, and I photograph and I try to document what I do, and then I try to compile it and make it to something that I think is watchable. But I would love to actually have more stuff to I guess record and make it like semi-professional. So that's a great idea, man. So definitely keep to it in some fashion or other.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. That's deep, man. But yeah, besides Australia and the tropics, I actually do love America. I love the USA just of how big and biodiverse we are. So, going to Arizona was a big deal to me, and just kind of opened my eyes a little bit more, because I've also been to Texas only once. I've been to Texas because I don't include Dallas Airport. Everybody, a lot of connecting flights are through there. I don't really count that, but I've been to southern tip of Texas to see what's going on over there. Yeah, yes, sir. So you already know you kind of know the herp list down there, and that's kind of what I did.
I've never made it that far down south in Texas. Pretty much all the time I spent in Texas in the greater Houston area. So,
well, it's still nice. It's still eastern though, nice and hot and moist.
Very, very humid.
Yeah. Like the only couple species I struck out on was a speckled racer.
Oh, okay.
That's like really the only species.
Do you know Andrew Austin at all?
Yeah, like the wildlife experience guy. I message him here and there.
Yeah, I'm buddies with him, so I'm actually going to be herping East Texas. Hopefully, do a little bit of herping with him in East Texas next month. So,
well, he sounds like such a smart guy. He's so interesting. He's a hunter, he's a naturalist, environmentalist, all that. He's just like, man, what a stud.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. It's great that you're friends with him.
Yeah. So what are some ultimate goal life or species you want to see before you die?
Well, darn, man, we kind of went through some already. I guess I could touch on the Texas trip just a little bit, and most people will kind of get a sense of what's down there. Indigos, Texas indigos is a big deal. Speckled racer, of course. The black stripe, like Cornophanes, like those small little fossorial snakes. And since it was my first time in Texas, almost everything was a lifer too. So I got to see my western coach whip. I got to see some Ruthen's whip snake, and then Schott's whip snake. Like Masticophis, like whip snakes in general, they're real neat species. They're like, a little more elongate than our racers, and just real neat. I mean, obviously with the coach whips, seeing that braiding scalation is like, wow, that's a pretty snake. And then, I was able to see a phenomenal specimen for my lifer Texas indigo. It was a 6-footer.
Dang.
And how most people say, man, this thing was 6 feet. I was pretty calm in a moment, but like this is like I stretched that snake out, and I'm 5'9", and he was still above my head when I stretched him out. So, I mean, besides the American croc capture, that was like the other herp that gave me like some of the biggest exhilaration and adrenaline. Because I was kind of nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of nervous with a snake that big. Because I was walking for a while, and I was around like arroyos and water sources, and I wasn't really having much luck besides like ribbon snakes and stuff. And then I'm walking around the corner, and then on this grassy patch near this pond or lake, there's this big kind of coiled Texas indigo, and he was like, it was interesting in his behavior because he was like scenting, like he had his head kind of stuck down like this, and he was sniffing the ground. He was doing like short tongue flicks, so he was either maybe, I don't know, looking for a mate or looking for food. And then obviously this big dumb monkey comes here and disturbs him. So I was like, I crouched down beside him. I kind of gave him a small pat on the back, and then he kind of looked up, stopped what he was doing, and he turned to look at me, and he looked at my hand. I was like, I know the jaw pressure is pretty decent, so I wouldn't want to bite. But no, it was just more curious. And then it was like, oh, this hand is a part of something bigger, and then it was going to dip, and then I just grabbed him, and as calm as can be.
Yeah, they really do earn their genus name to mark on.
They are emperors for sure. They're arguably my favorite snake genus we have here, and we're so lucky too to have them in the States. Oh, yeah. Especially and Texans, especially because Florida, Georgia, it's just everything's kind of off limits, or like you see them. There's a fleeting glimpses of them, but Texas, they're a little bit more mainstayed over there, thankfully.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen them in Texas and I've seen them in Mexico. Like if I were to do if I were to dream of making like a documentary similar to what you're talking about, I would try to focus on Drymarchon and then their geographic range, like document the species and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're the closest, I would say, in terms of snakes to mammalian carnivore. You know, they get real big. Their metabolism's a lot faster than most of the other colubrids, and they fill a similar niche, you know, as being quote unquote apex predators and stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Just look at their diet; they're almost like a snake equivalent of a mongoose. I guess now they take down other snakes and all sorts of other small game.
everything and everything.
Yeah.
But speaking on mongooses, you know, like mustelids, like, you know, weasels and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's this mustelid in Central America called a grison. I think I was reading it. It was like a natural history note or something, and it was like a black-tailed crebo, like, you know, Mexican indigo or whatever. And it was an adult that was killed and preyed upon by a grison. And we're talking like, you know, these are mustelids, so they're not big. But you know, mustelids they're such badasses of predators. They'll take on any and everything as well. And you know, I was reading the paper and it showed the photograph of the monkey, because it was like a game trail camera capture, and it showed like this mustelid that must have not been bigger than 2.5 feet long, and then it's dragging this like almost 6 foot long an indigo snake. You know, it was a little kick because like I like indigos. I don't like seeing that happen to them, but it's like, man, that's a badass animal if you can consider that food.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of the indigos, I always find it hilarious, how you know, coral snakes to take down other snakes that have this really, you know, potent neurotoxin. King snakes, they'll wrap up constrict, you know, kind of typical manner. Drymarchon, they don't do any of that. They just grab. They're just like, I'm just going to MMA thrash you around.
Yeah, alive or not, you're going down my gullet. Yeah, it's insane. I would love to keep one too. Like when I'm out of the house, I would probably keep a species.
Yeah, but you know, from everything I heard with that race metabolism, it's going to have to go through a lot of substrate.
Yeah, but I mean, you're kind of already getting that with the falsies, aren't you?
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, different snake, same box, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Are there any, well, besides Drymarchon, are there any dream species you want to keep in the future?
There's a lot, but I wouldn't do all of them just because, you know, taking in more animals, it's not a burden, but it just slightly is, because obviously you have more responsibilities, you have more lives to take care of. So I would never want to have a big collection. But yeah, I mean, I would like to add maybe some more U.S. herps, like some lamprey-pelted species. Funny enough, here in my home county, I kind of do a stud book of milk snake populations. So, you know, yeah, it's kind of in association with the park district. Like this one manager, you know, he likes me a lot, and he's cool with me doing these kind of like, I guess, surveys with cover boards, like not giving away too much, but basically just doing that kind of self-inventory type of thing. And I have 2 sites, and I found up to 20 milk snakes now. So, you know, they can be real dense when they want to be.
Yeah.
And
the same around here as well.
Yeah. Just like citizen science stuff where, you know, I've seen the same individuals for like 2-3 years now, including this one big female that's like 3.5 feet. Like some of them are real old and real big in this population. And, you know, I think last year she was gravid, and then this year I think she was gravid again. So it's funny. She was like successful enough with food and healthy enough that she, you know, is producing clutches out there.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same here in Ohio. I've noticed with milk snakes, you have them or you don't. You'll find them in really dense pockets, and it's like nothing in between almost.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised. All you gotta do is just lay down some cover if you're lucky enough, and the snakes will come. And
If you build it, they will come.
exactly. If you build it, or if you lay it, they'll come.
Yeah.
But our state, and some of the other Midwestern states, they're notorious for having some of the prettiest milk snakes, like the red milks before they were lumped back then with Easterns, like Southern Illinois. Like, oh, I mean, they're jaw dropping, their coloration and whatnot. So they're one I would like to have as well.
Yeah. So at Shawnee, the Snake Road, what all have you ever seen when you've ever gone there?
Well, funny enough, there's a book. I forgot who the author is, but Snakes of LaRue Pines of Snake Road. I think I've seen basically all of them, besides the flat-headed snake and a timber rattler. Funny enough, I haven't really spent time to see them. Thankfully, the sightings, and it seems like the populations are increasing, so more than ever, people are seeing them on the road, which is awesome. Milk snakes are a tough one. Milk snakes are tough in general because their fossorial nature, but I've actually seen one crossing in Illinois or in Snake Road as well, so that's cool. I've seen Mississippi green water snakes, which is another neat one because they reach their northern extent in Shawnee. I guess one other water snake is a diamondback that I haven't seen on the road itself, but I've seen them in Illinois. I've seen them in other parts. And obviously cottonmouths, that's what Snake Road is mainly known for. So I've seen my fair share. And just like what other people say, it's more about the people and the place itself than just the snakes. So it's great getting to know people, meeting other YouTubers, other herpers, and who you can call your buddies at the end of the day if you connect with them,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a great place.
Definitely gonna try to get there this spring. So
spring is awesome. We had a great spring, I think, across Illinois. That's what I kind of think leads to my success this season, because it felt like there was way more snakes on the crawl, just way more stuff being out to be found this year. Just in terms of numbers and diversity, like we were almost at 40 species of herps this spring in Southern Illinois, and it was like some buddies and me were just down there for like the weekend, like a 3-day weekend, and we found that many.
Dang. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about?
It's always good to leave people wanting more. I think we covered a good swath of topics and stuff. It's great that you sent out the invite so we can just hang and talk. So, I'm glad you invited me on, and I hope the listeners enjoyed some of my topics that I talked about.
Right. Well, where can people find you online?
Oh, so let's start with YouTube, I guess. So Golden Hipster Journey, or I think it's Golden Hipster now. And then if you want to type in Snake next to it, my channel is like the first one to pop up because of my name. And then for Instagram, you can follow me at Don, D-O-N, and then _ Bond, B-O-N, _ Junior. It was back when I was feeling kind of like being a mafia guy, so I had Don in my name. But yeah, that's mainly all I do. I may try to educate and just show some enjoyable photos of herps, and just hopefully spit some facts.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, bud. All right, take care.
You too.